This, let me show you the question that everyone seems to be having trouble with. Was the question like this? You guys see my PowerPoint?
Yeah.
It says...
Yeah, that one is kind of confusing.
Yeah, this one's the one that was confusing. What is the greatest whole number that rounds to 29,000 or 2,900, 2,900 when rounded to the nearest hundred? And what's the least whole number? So you had to figure out the biggest number that would round to this and the smallest number that would round to this. So what are some strategies you guys used for that? How would you figure that out? Nobody knows? If you can hear me, say okay.
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 Okay. Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
Since most of you can hear me, but I'm not getting an answer, do you want me to explain this question?
I tried like most of the answers that like I did how you explained it to us, and it said they weren't right. Like I did like almost the exact same answers because they were almost the exact same. I tried that too, but it wasn't.
Okay, so let's walk through this.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
Well, let's walk through it. Here's the question. The same question.
It wasn't 1,999.
No, listen. This is the question, just bigger. What is the greatest whole number? What is a whole number? What does that mean here?
The whole means no decimals.
No decimals. That's all that means. Just whole number means no decimals. It rounds to 2,900 when rounded to the nearest hundred. And then after you find that answer, you have to find the least whole number. Okay, so let's look at this first. Whole number means no decimals. It rounds to 2,900 when rounded to the nearest hundred. Which number is in the hundreds place?
The 0.
Nope. The zeros are in the tens and the ones place. What digit is in the hundreds place?
Oh, the 9, yeah.
The 9.
The 9.
That's your rounding place. The 9 is your rounding place. I need you. You gotta
it's
look.
Kind of confusing after doing all those decimals.
Say it again.
It's getting kind of confusing because we do so many decimals.
Yeah, that's why I told you whole number, so you know for certain you're not using any decimals. Whole number means no decimals. Okay, so which number are we looking at to decide if this number goes up or stays the same?
The zeros.
We're looking at what place value?
The tens.
The tens place. Look right here. Look to the digit to the right of the rounding place to decide whether it goes up or stays the same. And what happens to the numbers after the digit we're looking at? After the rounding place, what happens to the numbers after that? Look right here. It says if the digit to the right of the rounding place is 5 or more, add 1 to the rounding digit and change all the digits to the right to 0. If it's less than 5, leave the rounding digit alone and change all the digits to the right to 0. So this number tells us this number is either going to get bigger 1 or it's going to stay the same. And this, if we were rounding this number, it would stay the same, right? Okay, so let's look. What would be the biggest number that would round to 2,900? Tell me what you think.
The greatest?
2,899?
Okay, why do you say that?
It is the closest and the biggest. Or it could be it's either that or 2049 or 2049.
Okay, we know that the 2 has to stay the same. And the 9, if it's going to round to 2,900, it either has to have a 9 or an 8 in the hundreds place. Because it's either going to go 1 up from 8 and be 9, or it's going to stay the same and be 9. And since we're looking for the biggest number, we're going to make the second digit the 9. What about the third number? The number next to the hundreds place. What's the biggest number we can have next to that number and it not round up?
49.
49.
Just the digit, the tens digit.
Oh,
What's the biggest
4.
number we can have right here and it not round up?
4.
4. Okay.
4.
Now, what about this digit? If this digit is a 4, what's the biggest number we can have here?
9.
5. 9.
9, because that one doesn't change. We don't have to make that one smaller than 5 because the only number that changes how we round it is this number right here, the 4. So what's the biggest number that can round to 2,900? What's the biggest number we can have?
2,949.
2,949. Okay, that's the biggest number because why? Because if we went one bigger, what would happen? If we went one bigger,
It would round up.
it would round up. So this is the biggest number because any bigger, and it's going to round up, and that 9 is going to get one bigger. So the biggest number, if we write that in a sentence, we would write, how would we restate the question to answer that sentence?
Restate the question. 2,949 is the greatest whole number that rounds to 2,900.
The greatest whole number that rounds to 2,900 when rounded to the nearest 100 is, what is it?
2,949.
2,949.
2,949.
Good. The greatest number is 2,949. Now let's go back and talk about the smallest number. Let's go back to the R2900. What's the smallest number we can have that will round up?
2,900.
Okay, look at your number line. It has to either be 2,800 or 2,900 to round up 2,900. So which of those two numbers is smaller?
2,800.
2,800. Okay. Now we're going to look at the next number over. If this one has to be an 8, what has to happen to this number to make it round to 2,900?
You need 999.
Yeah.
It needs to be bigger than what?
It can be bigger than 50.
4.
It needs to be 5. Huh?
Anything bigger than 49.
Anything bigger than 4.
Okay, so it needs to be bigger than 4 because we want it to round to 29. So what's the smallest number we can put there that would make it round to 9?
A 4.
A 4 would make the 8 stay the same. If I have a 4 here, then this number,
It would be 5.
it would be 5. If I have a 4 here, Why did that not change?
Basic math.
Okay. So this number has to be what?
5.
A 5. Okay. And what's the smallest number we can put here?
0.
0. That's the smallest number. That's the smallest we can get that will still round to 2,900. If it's any bigger than that, what happens? Whoops. What did we say the greatest number was? 20, 29. $29.49.
29.49.
Okay, and then the smallest number would be
Was
what?
1,008. Wait, 2,850.
Why is that the smallest number? What happens if we go any smaller than that?
It won't round up. It'll stay the same.
If it's 28, if it's 28.49,
down
where does
one
it round to?
It rounds to
It would-
28,000.
It wouldn't round to 1,000. You can't ever round down. It can't go smaller than it was. If this was 28.49, then this number would be below 5, which means this number would stay an 8, and it would round to 2,800. But we're looking for it to round to 2,900. So the very smallest we can go is 2850. That will still round to 2,900. Anything that falls on the number line right here or bigger rounds this way. Anything below this spot right here in the middle is going to stay the same. Okay? Who has questions?
Okay.